Now it's time to use the more powerful object transformation tools in Illustrator, such as scaling, rotation, and reflection, as well as a couple of cool techniques we use here every day in the studio called progressive scaling and power duplication. And we'll also explore Illustrator's wonderfully flexible and adaptive align function, which when combined with artboards is incredibly useful. Now before we get started here, I actually need to adjust my workspace and more specifically the control panel here at the top. Because I'm recording at a smaller screen resolution for this training series, and in fact you might also be using a laptop for watching this and then we'll be seeing the same things, my control panel might not be showing all of the items that you're seeing purely because of the width of my screen. And you've probably noticed this when we've accessed, say, the transform panel and such. Imagine the difference between using a laptop screen and, say, a 30-inch display. There's a lot more information that can be shown up here. Well, this is something that can be customized, and I'm going to make a few changes here that will just enhance the items that we can see. And honestly, this is something you could also follow along with and adjust if you wanted to. But again, this is really so I have the items available for me to see in this control panel. Now, on the right-hand side of the control panel, there's a flyout menu that gives you access to all of the items that can be displayed there. And you can see there's quite a lot. So I'm going to remove just a few here. So bear with me, I'm just going to say let's not show brushes, and you see that gives me a little bit more space. I'm going to go back. I don't need fill and stroke. I know many different areas that I can access those, and you do by now, so that's not needed up here. I'm going to go down and also turn off our graphic styles for now. Go back and turn off object type. I know what my objects are. I don't need to know what it's called when I select it. I'm going to turn off also the recolor artwork function. Some of these we're not really going to use in the training anyway, so it doesn't matter if they're there or not, but they will save space. I'm going to turn off symbols there and also come down and turn off width profile. So that has given me a little bit more space here with just the default options. And now when I go ahead and select, say, our wheel or one of our objects here, you see I now have my transform options all in a row like you're probably seeing on a wide screen. So we don't just have the transform button anymore. So in case you're wondering why that's happened, it's purely based on screen space. There's so many options in the control panel, it's sometimes good to customize it. Now with that in mind, I have made changes here that I should save into a workspace. So here's my CS5 training workspace. Just like I did before, I'm going to go down, save workspace, give it exactly the same name. Go ahead and click OK and replace the existing one. Alright, so little diversion there. Now we want to look at rotating objects, and we're actually going to customize our logo. Now remember that this company I mentioned, it's called Le Cime dell'Italia. Well, the Italia word is going to be more of an emblem or a graphic style, and I've got the elements prepared for you. What we're going to do is piece them together. So let's press Command O or Control O on the PC to bring up the Open dialog box, and inside your Illustrator Files folder, we're going to go down and open two items. The first one is going to be Italia emblem. Okay, you can see it's got some lettering that's very nicely styled, and also this item down here, type swirl. If I just select that, you can see it's more of a graphic, and we're going to combine the two together. So I'm going to hold down Command or Control on the PC and make sure that I click on both of them so they're both highlighted. Italia emblem, type swirl. Go ahead and click open. Alright. Now the type swirl will come up second, and that's great because this is the first one that we need to access. All we're going to do is select this item on its own, okay? Copy it into memory, Command C or Control C as you normally would, and then close that document down. Come over into the Italian emblem file and simply paste this down. Okay, so we now really want to combine these two elements together. Now the type itself and the swirl are really from the same typeface, and what I've done is I've separated this out to give us the idea of how we would then rotate it and reflect it and drop it onto the end of this word so it becomes a swirl that closes round underneath and gives us more of a logo as opposed to just a word. So that's what we're going to do here. Now when it comes to transforming something, as you know already, we have the transform panels, we have the options in the control panel. We've also got up here in the object menu a separate transform menu. Now just so you know that this is here, transform again is something we've already done. Command D, you remember we did that with our guides, okay? When we moved one, we duplicated it again. The move dialog box, you already know that the enter key will also access that, but you also have individual items for rotate, reflect, scale, and shear, and these are all numerical things. There's also a transform each, which we'll try apply a little bit later, but that allows us to apply multiple transformation settings, so all of these essentially, but onto a group of objects so that each one transforms from its own center point. So it kind of saves you time because you don't have to select individual elements and apply a single set of transformations. You can do a whole range of them at the same time. However, we're not going to use those. I just wanted to show you that those are there under the Object Transform menu. We have tools that will do all of these and naturally do them much more interactively and much more accurately. So the first thing we're going to do is rotation. So let's zoom up over onto our type swirl that we've created over here on the right hand side, and our rotation tool is over in the tool palette. You can see it right here. Okay, keyboard shortcut, as you would imagine, is R. Now if we go ahead and hit R to access that tool, the first thing you may notice is an anchor point. Now we're on a transparent background, so feel free to use your keyboard shortcut to turn that off. Shift-Command-D, Shift-Control-D on the PC, go ahead and remember that one. You can see an anchor point over here right on the right. Well, that's basically the dead center of our object. So at this point, it's kind of like free transform. Click and drag with this tool, we will rotate around that anchor point, all right? Undo that. On the other side of things, you can click and choose wherever you wish the anchor point to be. So maybe we choose on the top here. Click on there, that now redefines that center point. If we position our cursor elsewhere and click and drag, you now see that we are using that particular point. So as you see, this tool very much more flexible. It's not like using the anchor points here where you are limited to just center or the outer points. Here you can literally choose anywhere on your document, on the path, it doesn't matter. This is where you choose it. So I'm going to undo that. Let's say you do wish to apply a numerical change here, okay? Well, all you need to do is go over into the tool and double click it to bring up a dialog box. Now, as with many things, there's multiple ways to do this. The first way we've done it is to double click, which brings up your dialog, and you'll notice in the background has reset the anchor point so it's going from the center. So if we did say let's rotate 30 degrees and just hit the tab key, you'll see it's rotating from this point right here, all right? Go ahead and cancel that. As you can probably imagine, hold down our all-powerful Option key or your Alt key on the PC, position it wherever you want the anchor point to be, and then click, and you'll also bring up the same dialog box, but now this is your anchor point, okay? So all of these different options, you can see how you can really choose the right one specific for what you need at the right time, okay? Now, it doesn't really matter which one we do here. We ideally want to rotate this to 90 degrees, so let's just go ahead and click OK. All right, and if we go back to the main selection tool, we can just drag this down into the page and maybe just scroll over and position it somewhat underneath our logo.